YouTube, we are back with another hero video. This one is the top 10 heroes in the entire game. A lot of these heroes you're going to probably be able to guess will be in the top 10. You might not know the order that I'm going to put them in. So this should be pretty fun. Again, this is always going to be a subjective ranking, but I will explain the reasoning why I'm putting these heroes where I'm putting them. So at number 10, the worst of the best, we have Sven. And now I know this will be controversial, but Sven is inarguably the most important hero in tiling for Eden Conflict, without a doubt. You basically need Sven if you are interested in pushing tiles at all. There are other combinations, like some people would have said Tuner or Cyclone, because you need those people with Sven, but you can use like heroes like Diver and other heroes with Sven as well and for forcing tiles. Now, the reason why he's not higher, generally I would put him higher, is because there is Winter. There is Eden Winter. And in Eden Winter, Sven is basically entirely useless. So that's why he's going to be 10. If we just had Eden Conflict, Sven would be very, very high. Sven would be top 5. But because of the Winter, Sven is a number 10. And now if you don't know who I'm talking about, if you're a newbie, and maybe you're not at Season X yet, or Season 10, this is Sven. You'll see him a lot, especially when you're playing Edens. Now, number 9, we have Beast. Beast has taken a step back in recent times, or in the last season in particular, but also the last 2 seasons, Beast has basically taken a step back. He's still an incredibly strong tank. That's all he does, basically. He just sits in the front. He does have good skill kills because he has reflex and things. So when he gets attacked, he can get kills as well. But again, he's just kind of taking a step back. He's not even a top 3 tank in the game. You'll see who those are coming up, but he is still a very, very, very strong hero. Unfortunately, it seems like, as the seasons progress, he might get booted out of the top 10 even. In number 8, we have Azure. Now, Azure is an SP hero, Azure Dart. She's an SP hero, a support SP hero, except the problem with Azure, and the reason why she's not a higher tier support, is because she's pretty reliant. She's not that flexible. The way that her skills work, you're kind of required to have combat skills in your party, which not all heroes have. A lot of heroes might just have passive skills or maybe one combat skill, but not full combat skills all the time. So this does make Azure significantly less flexible, and that's the reason why she's number 8, even as an SP hero. Now, coming in at number 7, we have Annie, the other SP hero. Now, you might think this is pretty low, and I would generally agree that it is fairly low. The only reason why Annie is this low is because I want to make it clear that you do not need these SP heroes to win. When Annie first came out, she was inarguably number 1, and there was a huge, huge, huge step between 1 and 2. In very, very new states like the 1300s, Annie is absolutely obliterating everybody. Annie and the other SP heroes are just absolutely destroying everybody, but that's a kind of isolated issue. That's just because those states don't have all of the heroes. So the SP heroes come before a lot of the Season X heroes. So it's just it's a mess in like the 1300 states, for example. So in those situations, Annie's incredibly, incredibly strong. But you do not need her currently in your base, but she is a very, very, very good tank. Top 3 tank in the game for sure is Annie. Now, moving away from tanks and kind of supports, we have Thunder. So Thunder is number 6. Thunder is our first carry hero that we have in the game. He's still very, very good. He has multiple APCs that he can work with. He does a lot of damage, especially being a fighter. I have no idea why he's considered a support. It makes absolutely no sense. Generally, he does damage. Yes, he increases damage dealt as well, so it's kind of a 2-in-1, but in general, he is a carry. You usually put him in the back row, and he will do skill kills. He can't be the only carry that you have. You have to like supplement him. So for example, Beast is a tank, but he also gets a lot of skill kills. So Beast and Thunderbolt work very, very well together. Next up, we have Ifan. So Ifan is another support. And in my opinion, he is the best support in the game. Just period. Ifan works exactly as a support should work, basically. He buffs a significant amount. He debuffs the enemy a significant amount. Basically, that's everything that he does. He heals, which is, again, another kind of common support trope. But in general, what he's here for is damage reduction or damage mitigation, buffing, so increasing the damage dealt, and doing a little bit of treatment here and there, or supplementing treatment even further if someone else has treatment, for example. So Ifan will probably remain in the meta for quite a long time. Maybe new supports will come out that just are that do what Ifan does but better, or the meta will just completely change, and maybe you're doing like 2 carries or 2 tanks or something like that. But for right now, Ifan is definitely the best tank of the game. You can pretty much put him in any APC with a tank and a carry. Ifan can go in that APC and have no issues. He's not like Azure, who kind of requires you to have other heroes in the APC. So coming in at number 4, we have Flash. Now Flash is the second carry, or the first pure carry. So we talked about Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt isn't a pure carry. Flash is a pure carry. Basically, she just does a ton of damage, and that's pretty much it. Except it's not. So Flash also has debuffs and buffs. So very similar to Thunder, very similar to the rest of the heroes that we see here. The heroes that are incredibly good that are on this list do everything. She does a ton of kills. You can see here getting 300,000 skill kills in battle reports. And she's, decreases the enemy damage. She debuffs the enemy. She buffs herself. She's just a very good hero in general. Unfortunately, she's a shooter hero, and shooter heroes are inarguably the worst troop type in the game right now, which does make Flash a little weaker. If Flash was like a vehicle hero or a fighter hero, maybe she'd be better. It would be interesting to see if she was like an all-arounder, and then you could put her in basically every APC, and maybe she would enter the top 3 in that case. So speaking of entering the top 3, let's cover the top 3. In third place, we have Mech Pilot. Mech Pilot is basically Flash, but a vehicle hero. So kind of what I was saying is, if she could be anything other than a shooter, she would pretty much be Mech Pilot. Now, Mech Pilot is a carry, but she also is sort of a support, similar to Flash, sort of. She puts armor values, this kind of weird stacking system on herself. And here you can see this titanium armor. So she reduces damage taken. She increases the amount of healing that whoever has that armor gets, and obviously this stacks. So this works really well with any hero that does healing, or even things like greed or temporary preparedness, a lot of the flexibilities. Mech Pilot just works really, really well for these. She deals more damage. She's just insane. She does literally everything. She heals herself, and she buffs the amount of healing that she does. She damage mitigates. She does damage reduction. She increases her own damage, and the damage of the rest of her APC. So she's just insane. This ability in general is disgusting, and this ability gets stacked through the use of her other abilities. So Mech Pilot's just like, she does everything. She literally does everything. She's a support carry. She's insane. And then, again, she just does a ridiculous amount of damage. You'll see 300,000 skill kills with Mech Pilot as well. That's not uncommon. So Mech Pilot is definitely, top 3 hero in the game. You could sort of maybe put her as the second best hero in the game. You'll see who the second best hero is. I'm sure you could probably guess. If you're in an older state and you've used all these heroes, you can probably guess who number 2 is. Number 2 is Fallen Raven. So Fallen Raven is an insanely good tank hero who's also a carry. And again, you're seeing a theme here. Most of these heroes in the top 5 or 6, I guess 6 with Thunder, do multiple things. Or at least the top 4 definitely do multiple things. This guy is a tank carry. This guy does an insane amount of kills, an insane amount of damage. He has this curse ability here that stacks and is just ridiculous. This also debuffs the enemy. They heal less. He has a It's also called titanium armor, which, I mean, come on, guys. They're completely different heroes, use different names, but doesn't really matter. They do completely different things. It's not the same as Mech Pilots. This thing is ridiculous. He heals himself a lot because he's doing a lot of damage. He causes the enemy to deal less damage, and they take more damage. So it's very similar to, Flash, and very similar to Mech Pilot. So he's basically like being a support. He's kind of his own support. He is a tank, because he can heal himself over and over and over. And he's a carry because he does a ton of damage with his curse. It lasts forever. Every time he takes certain number of damage, so that's why you put him in the front. He basically dishes out a bunch of damage and curses them, and it just all amplifies. Whenever someone else is cursed, they basically deal nothing against Fallen Raven, which is great for him because it means he'll still be getting attacked, but he won't be getting hurt because they have a curse applied to him. He'll still be getting attacked. He's going to reapply curses. It's just, he is basically a one-man army. You can literally just put him in an APC and it'll do very, very well. That's how ridiculously strong this guy is. And yes, there is a hero stronger than him. Everyone at this point knows who it is. If you have them and you've used them, or you're in the old states and you look at battle reports, the strongest hero in the game, without a doubt, is Super Killer. And whoops, there we go. So Super Killer is the best hero in the game. She is basically take Raven and make Raven better and be a counter to Raven. So Raven previously would have been the best hero in the game. This list would have looked very, very similar, except everyone would have been a slide down. Super Killer would have been taken out, and then somebody like Tuner or Cyclone would have been in the 10 position. However, right now, Super Killer does very similar things. She has damage mitigation, a ton of damage mitigation, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. This ability right here, Charging Module, basically applies stacks whenever there's just attacks, just damage or anything that happens. Basically, she gets these stacks. She'll take 5% less damage and deal 5% more damage, and this can stack 20 times, meaning she's going to be dealing 100% more damage and taking 100% less damage, which is absolutely insane. This is basically take all of the USB, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of USB, and just put it in one ability. This is what she has right here. It's insanely strong. She is ridiculous. She has a similar counterattack to like Raven and Beast. So basically when they get hit, they deal damage, except she heals herself off of this damage. She is just ridiculous. She is insanely strong. She applies another shield to everybody, to her entire APC, makes them basically invincible, including herself. It's just insane. I'm not kidding when I say you can actually put Super Killer alone in an APC and it will kill 70-80% of APCs in the game. Literally, I have battle reports showing when myself using an incredibly strong APC, an S tier APC, going against just Super Killer and losing. She is that good. I would go so as far as to do like this. There is a gap. There is a large gap between every other hero and Super Killer. Potentially, this was kind of the same scenario with Raven, where Raven was just by far the best hero in the game. And then they came out with Super Killer, and now Super Killer is killing Raven, is countering Raven. So maybe next season, we'll have maybe a vehicle hero tank like Kamikaze sort of come in, and maybe he'll be able or she'll be able to take down Super Killer. Don't know. But for right now, these are the top 10 heroes in the game. If you just had to pick, or you were just using selection tickets, Season X selection tickets, or like, okay, I don't have enough to reconstruct all of these heroes, this is the order that you should do it in. Reconstruct Super Killer, make her insanely strong, build your APC around her, and kind of go up the list like that. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know your list in the comments. I'd love to see it. It should be fairly similar to this, or at least the same heroes, except they might be in a completely different order. So I'd love to see it in the comments. Just jot down your top 10. And it should be fun to see. Maybe the community has a completely different idea. And then if I do see something like that where it's like, oh, okay, wait a second. People are saying Mech Pilot is like 9 and Azure or Annie is like top 2 or 3. Then maybe I can do communities top 10 or something like that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. We got more to come. All right, peace.